Hi there everyone, I am Christian Asumo, and in this video I will be presenting the story of Americas in the Heart by Carlos Bulosan, and I will be sharing the portrayal experiences of Filipino workers that has migrated from the Philippines to the America in the year around 1930s and the 1940s. That is the year of the Great Depression of America, where the epidemic spreads throughout across the country. And Carlos Bulosan and other Filipino workers decided to migrate to America for a better life of living. Unknowingly, the experiences that they will be facing and the struggles, the challenges that they will be facing in America. They will be treated as slaves. They will be treated as poor servants, and the worst of jobs are given to the Filipino workers. Could you imagine? You have Filipinos working labors as hard as they could, and even when they transferred, when they migrated to America, they have just the cheapest tickets that allows them to set sail on ships, but they stay on the steerage. And in the steerage, we gathered all Filipino people, and has got the sickness, inflammation, has been infected by the virus, and these cause them to get contaminated in the ship. Others aren't able to survive, and they have died. And young doctor came and with his assistant and checked on how many Filipino people are still alive and how many has died. And one of the Filipino people who have been in the ship is Carlos Bulosan. He is an activist, meaning to say a campaign to set political or social change. He wants to be an American by citizen, and he wants to continue there. And as the stories go on, he became a famous and popular writer, but at the same time he experienced a deep and saddening moment as he migrates from the Philippines to America. So let us learn more about the America is in the Heart by watching my presentation. America is in the Heart by Carlos Bulosan. It is a semi-autobiographical novel that depicts the experiences of Filipino immigrants to the United States in the 1930s and the 1940s. So it is the story of, it is actually a novel and a combination of his autobiographical work that has shared his life experience along with his and other Filipino workers that has migrated from the Philippines to the America. Let us learn more. The author is of course Carlos Bulosan. He was the most popular Filipino short story writer in the United States. He was born in Binalonan, Pangasinan in 1914 and became an economic refugee in California, Seattle, and Alaska during the Great Depression years in America. Carlos Bulosan, along with other Filipino workers, became an economic refugee because they are living in America poorly. They have a rough life, and they experience beating, they experience discrimination, disrespectful ways of treating them by the white people in America. So it was a harsh life. It has sent him to wonder if he had made the right decision coming to America. The publication date is 1946. So the story, the America in the Heart novel / autobiographical work of Carlos Bulosan was published in 1946. And the content, the novel describes Bulosan's childhood in the Philippines and his journey to America and his life as a laborer in the rural West. Also includes his work in the Filipino labor movement in his later days as a writer. So Carlos Bulosan has experienced hardships as he moved to America from the Philippines. He experienced being a laborer of hard work, working in strikes, working in unions, and has led his life risky. He even sacrificed trying to find jobs such as low-paying labor checks, and Carlos Bulosan also, with other Filipino people, thought of being or having an easy life in America, but yet they were wrong. Carlos Bulosan and his fellow workers, companions, have somehow experienced the pain, the trauma that they brought into themselves. And because during that time, America was not that friendly to Filipino people, unlike today. Now, let us talk about race. So in race, the book depicts the racism and the prejudice that Filipinos faced, including being called half-naked savages from the Philippines and the brown monkeys. Filipinos were also prohibited from entering whites-only establishments, marrying white people, and were given the worst jobs. So back in the story, when Carlos Bulosan was only 17 years old, along with other Filipino workers who migrated to America, riding in the lowest parts of the ship, which is the steerage, they were near the hatch. When they arrived in Seattle on June, they came out crawling really poorly. They were half naked as a young white girl approaches them with a young white boy, and they were talking about them. They were saying, the white girl mentioned that, why are these savage Filipino monkeys? Why are these half-naked savages Filipino people? Why aren't they sent back to where they came from? So they were already discriminated the moment they arrived at America. They were also prohibited in so many things. They were given the worst of jobs. They were treated like animals, like dogs and cats in the streets begging for food. That is how Filipino experienced actually their migration during back in the time of 1930s to the 1940s compared to today. So migration, and along with the Filipino people, they were working hardly, working their backs off, back-breaking jobs, yet from their job salary, the scale wage has been decreased. For example, when they were working with 30 cents, just 30 cents for a labor. Imagine that. And it was decreased into 20 cents per labor per hour. And that is not an easy job. It is really a life-threatening experience and life-threatening job for them, because it could risk their lives for just a really small amount of wage in payment from their hard labor. Next is Bulosan was one of the first Filipino migrant workers to arrive in the United States in 1930. He left the Philippines at the age of 17 to escape poverty and economic turmoil and to find work and education. Yes, we know that Carlos Bulosan has been a famous, successful writer in America, but what we do not know, or what we can learn from my presentation or from the book itself, is that other Filipino workers along with Carlos Bulosan has sacrificed their lives. They have set their lives at risk, and they actually have many troubled experience, a troubled past, a worst feelings that they ever had felt in their lives as they sacrificed in their migration from the Philippines to America. They moved to America, but yet they were unwelcomed by the white people. They were treated like trash. They were treated like nobody at all, and they experienced the hardships, the heartaches, and the hard labors that they've been facing with a small amount of money, unlike the America today. Bulosan worked labor in low-paying jobs, including harvesting crops, washing dishes, and working canneries. He experienced racism, economic distress, hunger, and illness. Now let us lastly talk about identity. So The book explores the identity struggles of Filipinos in America and their journey towards becoming real Americans. So even though despite Carlos Bulosan have been experienced this traumatizing event in his life, he had pursued his job as a writer, a comedian, and as he puts his mask of comedy down, he started writing down his autobiographical work, which is the America is in the Heart, and this is the most popular known piece by Carlos Bulosan about Filipinos people's struggles in their migration to America. The novel depicts the conflicting nature of Americans who are both kind and prejudiced, and the uncertainty about what it means to be an American. So actually in the story America is in the Heart, Carlos Bulosan actually wrote in his book about the two faces of America, because there are people who had a good heart, who are kind, who treats him with fairness and kindness, like when he was abducted and he was beaten up to death. A white woman, he ran up to a white woman who had helped him, took care of him, and healed his wounds, and helped him escape the place where he was abducted. And at the same time, back to what I was talking about earlier, the discrimination just won't stop. The racism, the prejudice, and everything that is against the Filipinos by the white people are always present. The novel explores the theme of race and American identity, including dehumanization of Filipinos by white people. Again, the Filipinos were always discriminated by Americans, okay? And there is a dehumanization. There's no humaneness at all. They're like inhuman when it comes to treating the Filipino people right. They treat them poorly, that Filipinos aren't even like humans to them. The novel depicts the working class experience of Filipino immigrants and critiques the capitalist power structure that control their lives. So Filipino people are like having a rope in their neck, which they always follow American people in their rules strictly, or else or otherwise they might get in trouble. So that will be all, everyone, for the story America's in the Heart by Carlos Bulosan. And I hope you learned something about what I've shared when it comes to Filipino experiences about their migration from the Philippines moving to America. And they experienced lots of hardships, including racial discrimination, their labors, their hard past, and the way they were treated, the low-cost labors that they're receiving in their hard work. Those are challenges, but Carlos Bulosan haven't given up, and in return he has become a popular writer, remembered up to this day. He is one of the great writers and the first Filipino writer in America, one of the first, and shared an experience about the migration of Filipino people's lives migrating to America. So that would be all for my presentation. I hope you learned something, and till the next time.